Hello everyone, welcome to Cheongfuli Weekly Report. Here we bring you the latest China's steel market prices and analysis every week. This week, the spot prices of steel products continued to strengthen. The domestic spot price of hot-rolled coils rose by 50 yuan per ton this week, and the price of rebar increased by 90 yuan per ton. At the macro level, Sino-US relations have improved, and the negotiations between the United States and China may be further delayed. It should be noted that the US tariff policies on other countries are still advancing, and the indirect impact on China's exports remains. Domestically, the Central Economic Conference emphasized that anti-involution is still the current mainstream. The market believes that there will be greater disturbances on the supply side of bulk commodities. There is still the possibility of production restrictions on the steel side, and the recent expectation of coking coal production restrictions is severe. With the reduction in output, prices have soared, pushing up the cost of steel. On the industrial side, the weekly output of the 5 major steel products remained stable with little overall change, and molten iron continued to stay at a high level. On the demand side, the weekly apparent demand still showed strong resilience, with an average weekly decrease of 19,800 tons. The decline in demand was small, and the resilience of demand remained. The apparent demand for construction materials in East China and South China remained stable, and the fact that the off-season was not weak led to a continued rise in the valuation of finished steel products. In terms of inventory, the 5 major steel products saw a slight destocking this week. Judging from the seasonal trend, the subsequent inventory accumulation may not be too large. This week, the rebar inventory in steel mills remained stable. In terms of the inventory accumulation of other varieties, steel mills basically had no pressure. In summary, July is a macro-focused month and sentiment is relatively bullish for bulk commodities. However, in terms of fundamentals, steel demand is already in the off-season, and the resilience of demand has exceeded expectations. In terms of profits, steel mills are still enjoying good profits for the time being, and no significant pressure has been seen. At the same time, with high molten iron output, the price support for raw materials has returned, and the cost of steel has risen. Since the mainstream shipping schedules for export orders of some varieties are already at the end of August or even September, exports provide strong support for molten iron. It is necessary to pay attention to the speed of inventory accumulation caused by the seasonal decline in domestic demand, as well as the impact of spot price increases on subsequent exports. Looking ahead, if the demand from steel mills remains resilient, steel prices may maintain a strong oscillating trend. In terms of procurement, those with rigid demand can appropriately increase purchases and pay attention to further changes in demand. On the institutional side, the recent Political Bureau meeting, coupled with a positive sentiment against involution, has led to an increase in speculative purchases. However, as macro positives have been fully priced in, macro sentiment has somewhat weakened, which may cause profit-taking in the previously accumulated speculative resources and a possible decline in spot prices. Nevertheless, from a fundamental perspective, there remains no significant contradiction between supply and demand. To sum up, recently, steel prices have remained stable with a slightly strong oscillating trend, and price expectations have been revised. Among the varieties, billets are recommended. Okay, feel free to leave your thoughts, questions, or any related inquiries in the comment box below. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to follow us for more updates. See you next week.